Hello and welcome back, or perhaps welcome for the very first time to the Prodigy Student Table. We're thrilled to kick off this new chapter, moving beyond the classroom to bring you even richer perspectives on the study abroad journey. Join us as we chat with a talented team at Prodigy Finance, connect with our inspiring alumni who are making waves around the world, and hear from other experts who know the ins and outs of international education. Pull up a chair and let's talk study abroad. My name is Cyndi Satram. I am the host of the show. And today I am super thrilled and honored to have two students from London Business School talk to us about dreaming big, moving abroad, and preparing for your MBA in London. Welcome, Manvi. Welcome, Gonzalo. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Should we just start with a little introduction? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I can go ahead. Hi everyone, I'm Manvi. I am originally from New Delhi in India, and I moved to London for my MBA at London Business School. Before the MBA, I worked around four and a half years in consulting back in India, and really excited to be on the podcast. Thanks.
Yeah, and I'm Gonzalo. I come from Colombia. And before coming to the MBA, I was a lawyer. I worked across big law firms, startups, and also recently in consumer goods. And I came to the MBA just to start doing a career change into consulting and into business strategy.
So firstly, let's talk about London. And out of all of the countries that you could have studied your master's at, what made you choose London as your study abroad destination? Gonzalo, maybe you want to start?
Sure. Thank you. So London has always been my favorite city on earth. I came here with my family when I was young, and I really fell in love with the culture, with the history. I'm a bit of a history geek, and this country and city especially has seen everything from even the Celts up until today. A lot of history in the city, and this can be really felt and it can be touched all throughout the city.
So I take it you've seen these already?
Yeah. Definitely, and it's quite impressive to see pubs 1,000 years old, so that's great too.
Manvi, so you from India, from Delhi, sorry. What made you choose London as your study abroad destination?
So similar to Gonzalo, I have always loved London as a city. I've been here a couple of times for vacationing, and I always knew that I do want to live in the city sometime in my life. So when an opportunity came to do an MBA, I kind of wanted to explore London as an potential city. Also, then I had my younger sister already here, so it was a little easier to have someone so close to you in a city when you're moving abroad. So one of those decisions, and also the London Business School overall as a school really attracted me. So all of that combined to me moving to London.
Yeah, I suppose that's lots of factors you have to consider when making this big decision. And I guess having family, especially someone as close as your sister, could be really kind of helpful in the transition. So it sounds like both of you have kind of been in London before, and you kind of had an idea about the city. Were there any kind of feelings in the months before officially moving to London that you can talk to us about?
I think even though I'd been here as a tourist always. So just the fact that I was moving my entire life, having lived in India all my life, to moving out of the house the first time, it was kind of a little overwhelming, and it made me a little nervous. But what really helped while moving was having a sister here, like I said, but also talking to a lot of the people who were already in London and doing their MBA, just trying to understand how to navigate through housing, finances, etc. So yeah.
Anything different for you, Gonzalo?
Yeah, I think very similar to Manvi. I was very excited, but also overwhelmed. I was, for starters, I was completely leaving behind my career in law and starting a new chapter. not just geographically, but as I said, professionally and personally. And the move to London also was the first big international move for my girlfriend and I together. So it was also about aligning both of our dreams.
And were there any challenges? Because it sounds like you both kind of had an easy transition moving from your home country to London. But were there any challenges that you experienced? And can you talk to us about that and how you overcame those challenges?
Yeah, I'd say that for me, the main challenge was finding housing remotely. That was probably the first challenge that I encountered, because it's hard to commit to an apartment without seeing it, right? To a flat without seeing it. And you never want to waste money on scams or end up somewhere like far from campus. And so what I did was to solve this, I booked an Airbnb for the initial weeks, and then while on the ground, I did the flat hunting in person.
Smart. Do you have any tips or tricks or opinions on that, Manvi? How was, what challenges did you experience and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I think very similar to Gonzalo. I think the experience is very similar because we were both moving countries, but finding housing remotely was really tough. And finding housing overall in London, even if you're here, is really tough because I did have my sister here who could visit properties for me. But the London housing market moves so quickly that once you see a house, you need to decide within like the next few hours or even within like the next day whether you want to have the property and put down like a deposit of a week or so. So just like deciding so quickly and getting a property that you actually like was really tough. But I think what really helped is being in touch with all the agents on a regular basis, being very, very proactive. And also the other piece of advice that I would give is that I was talking to a lot of seniors, really understanding what agents they had used so that the potential of scam was reduced already. And also there were a lot of groups in which LBS had already created where we could talk to the seniors and understand if they were leaving their apartments because this lease transfer is much more easier and also
Yeah.
worthy as compared to like finding a new property overall.
Yeah. Yeah. So you both have been living in London for what, a year? You in your kind of first year right now, is that correct? And how has it been? I mean, both of you come from countries that are super hot, and from what I believe, London is freezing in the winter. How have you been adapting to life in London so far?
Well, where I'm from is not extremely hot because Bogota is almost 2.6K meters up the sea level. So
Okay.
although it's not as cold as London, but I'd say that cold has not been a significant issue. What has probably been an issue and people should be aware of is the absence of sunlight during the winter months, and starting in October, it's very challenging to get that vitamin D in. So I guess that being able to supplement yourself well with vitamins and with minerals is important to keep your body running and functional. I guess also having a good diet and exercising. Although it's very hard to balance all these things with the MBA, I think just taking time for yourself and for your body is important. Um, but besides that, living in London has probably been the best experience I've had in my life.
What's the best thing that's happened to you so far, Gonzalo? Anything that kind of stands out for you, a highlight?
Yeah, I love music and sports. I'd say that probably the highlight in the music side was going to Paul McCartney's final concert in London. um, and that was amazing. And then football wise, I say going to all sort of matches across Premier League, and second, third, and fourth division. I don't miss a game if there's a chance to go. And so I've been really squeezing those two aspects of my life.
Oh, how lucky. So, for all of those students listening to the podcast today, and if you're a football lover, London is the place to
The
go.
city, it's the city. There's nothing like it. There's like 20 teams based in London, just in London, and you can watch either fifth division or Premier League games whenever, any weekend. Yeah.
Amazing. Imagine like, being in on the stadium in that presence. It must be phenomenal.
Yeah, it's in the script. Like it's not possible to describe the feeling of going to these matches. Yeah.
Manvi, how has life been in London for you? How have you been adapting to culture? What stands out for you?
Yeah, I think I've kind of been enjoying the fact that London is not that hot because Delhi being so hot, you can't really walk around much. So you're very dependent on your cars to move around. And also, it's not that a walkable city. It's lovely, but it's not that walkable. So I've been enjoying my walks in London. I've been enjoying going to Regent's Park. LBS is literally right opposite Regent's. So walking is so much fun. If it's a little cold, you can just wear a couple of layers extra, just walk around. I've been loving that. Also like going to a few concerts. There's always something happening in London. So that's been the best part about it.
Amazing. So the two of you are in the same class, right? You've met before, like how has that been? Like making new friends in this new country. Was it quite easy to do, or did you experience challenges?
I think the MBA, in the sense, is structured so that you get a lot of networking opportunities early on in the MBA. Even before we started the MBA, we had a pre-MBA trip where it was very easy to meet a lot of people. So that way, it's easy, but at the same time, it's a big batch. So it's a big cohort. So our cohort is around 430 people. So
Sorry? How much is
433. Yeah. So it's a huge cohort. So it's not really possible to meet everyone, but
yeah.
there are a lot of opportunities to meet a lot of people. So I think moving abroad while doing a course like master's degree or an MBA makes it much easier in terms of making friends.
Right.
Wow. And what were some of the first things that you did when you arrived? Can you talk to us about navigating kind of the banking system in this new country, or, getting a SIM card, or sorting out transportation? These are kind of things that students obviously need to sort out before or while they're there. What are your thoughts and opinions and advice on that?
Yeah, I'd say that it's like juggling with a lot of different processes that you have to do once you arrive in London. So it's a bit chaotic, but also those first weeks are beautiful because you're meeting new people. But then you also have to be very concentrated on house viewings, registering with your with your GP, figuring out your Oyster card and transportation, basically discounts for moving in London, and on top of that, opening the bank account, which is always a challenge. I'd say that the main advice there is um, to be very mindful about that. Everything takes time in this country, so everything requires a lot of formality, a lot of in person and physical documentation. So it's just to be mindful of this process take time. So in my case, I opened a bank account in a big established bank, but then I also opened Revolut to have like the combination of both, and my resources separated between these two accounts. And I guess that's worked out well for me so far.
Great. And what is a Oyster card? Excuse my ignorance, but I'm sure those listening as well, want to understand that a bit. Is that like a transportation card? How does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a transportation card, and once you link it with your rail card, which is another transportation card, but for the rail system in the UK, you get some discounts on your commute within London. Yeah.
Okay. Manvi, if you can, let's just like take this a little level deeper, because I believe that London is so expensive at the moment. And for an international student, of course, you're not coming into this new country with lots and lots of money. You do have to budget. Do you have any tips that you're willing to share for our listeners today on how they can navigate some of those challenges?
Right. So London, as lovely as a city is, it can be quite expensive. But there are a lot of ways that you can save. So there are a couple of tips. So there are a lot of apps that you can use to find discounts. So there is this app called Uni Days, and Student Beans, where students
Sorry, did you say uni days?
Uni Days
Okay.
and Student Beans. So both of these apps have different discounts. Like a lot of stores, a lot of brands will have special discounts if you are a student. All you need is having registered on the app. Then there is this app called Too Good to Go, which is a food app. Basically, whatever food is left in the cafeterias after a day, they sell it for very, very small amounts, which is a great way to actually get your food, and it's all fresh. It's the same day's produce, so it's great. You can also save up by eating out less, buy groceries from stores like Tesco. So even in the UK, even between grocery stores, there can be some difference in the price. So an M&S and a Waitrose will be more expensive as compared to Aldi, Lidl, Tesco. So kind of be careful of where you're buying your groceries from.
Any surprises that stood out for you, Gonzalo?
Yeah. Maybe I'd say the cost of a simple dinner. Like what I've noticed is that even the simplest dinner on a weekday can be pretty expensive. So you have to be very disciplined with when you go out to eat and when you don't. So basically, you have to budget also if you aren't to be very mindful of your finances. You have to budget how many times a month you're gonna go out to eat to be able to stay on budget. I'd say probably dinners is where a big chunk of the money goes to.
Okay. And can we talk about the actual funding of your masters? Um, do you have any suggestions for our listeners today on how to kind of navigate that challenge? Because obviously you kind of need to sort that out before you even leave your home country. How would you do that? What advice would you give to students? Um, and what kind of options are there for international students wanting to study in London, and particularly London Business School?
So London Business School does offer scholarships. So great way would definitely be like a great opportunity would be that if you get the scholarships funded by LPS, because there are scholarships specifically focused on women that even sponsor up to 100% of your tuition fee. So if you apply for those and you get that, that's a great help in funding your entire MBA. But if not, then there are also, of course, loans available depending on which country you're coming from. There are certain government sponsorships available, again, depending on the country. Different interest rates offered by different loan providers. So the advice would definitely be to consider all the options and also speak with students who are currently studying in the school. If they're willing to share advice on how did they procure the loans and what interest rates suited them the best. I know a lot of the times when I was about to join LBS, we had already created a group for the Indian cohort which was going to join, and everyone was discussing which bank providers they're talking to, what are the interest rates they're being offered, what are discounts they can get. So that is a great way to figure things out.
Earlier on, you mentioned you spoke to seniors. Gonzalo, did you follow the same kind of process? Did you also speak to seniors?
Yeah, that's right. I also reached out to like at the moment LBS MBAs when I was not yet a student. So I talked with the Latam club offered a lot of orientation sessions for us. I also had the luck of having a good friend from high school that also is a year above me here at LBS. So I spoke to her about her experience, and I guess it's also a good habit to start taking early on, to talk a lot to people and to start just learning a lot from others' experience, that because it will also work a lot during your time in the MBA.
And how did you start that initial conversation, Manvi? Like how do you know that okay, this is the right senior for me? Did you reach out to them on LinkedIn? Did the school assist that process? How did that work?
So initially, before I had gotten an admit to the school, I started reaching out to people on LinkedIn, and a strategy that I followed was looking at people who were from my country and also who were from my background. So I looked at consultants from India because it's just easier. You have that common thread to talk about, and it just, I feel, increases the willingness of the person to kind of help and reply back. Generally, I found that the people at LBS were really helpful. Most of the people I reached out to actually replied to me and really helped me throughout my application and interview process. But once I got the admit, LBS puts you in this. LBS has its own kind of social media app called Meet, where all the admits get to join a group, and there you have profiles of everyone, so you can, it becomes very easy to reach out.
It sounds like LBS does a lot to make sure international students integrate and settle into life in London quite easily. Gonzalo, do you have a different strategy? How did you hear about, reaching out to seniors?
Yeah, I guess very similar to Manvi, using a lot this platform that LBS had prepared for us. Then also using a lot my kind of local network of Latin Americans, which is a very like solid network within LBS, I'd say, and basically just being very direct with reaching out and asking for help, and then not being at all like shy with reaching out to someone you don't know, because they probably were in the same position as you were a couple of years ago. So I'd say that's key, not only before joining LBS, but also for the actual experience of the MBA.
Incredible. I mean, that's already kind of such a big suggestion for our listeners is, find people, talk to people, someone that's been in your shoes before. And this is actually why Prodigy Finance community of mentors exists, is because we know that that's such an important link to help with this huge decision of studying abroad. It's beyond just the financing. It's just like, like everything else that goes with it. Gonzalo, you gave us some fantastic suggestions earlier, and I know it sounds like really simple. Oh, eat healthy and make sure that you supplement, but that's such a important, thing to do and to consider, because it really impacts kind of how your focus and how you how your studies go. Like, what other advice do you have for international students maybe coming from Colombia wanting to study in London?
Yeah, I'd say that my main advice here would be to bring like your whole self, not trying to necessarily be someone who you're not, to try to fit in, because you'll see that there's people from very impressive backgrounds, people that are way smarter than you, that people that have very different experience from you, and there's a natural like drive of trying to accommodate to such situation. I'd say that's not the way to go. I'd say the most important thing is to be very genuine and very original with regarding your background, regarding if it's Colombian, your Colombian culture, regarding your struggles also, because all of this adds value to you and makes you like in the end you were chosen by LBS for a reason. So it's very important to own that reason and to help others also feel that they belong to with their struggles and with their strengths.
Oh, I love that. Authenticity. Manvi, what about you? Any advice for, say, females, female Indian students from any city in India, actually, who is, struggling to make this decision of studying abroad? What advice do you have for those women today?
I think for those women, it would definitely be, I think as women, we're very likely to fall in the trap of imposter syndrome. So like Gonzalo said, own up to who you are. If you've been chosen to a program, there's definitely a reason why you've been chosen. So be very authentic with who you are. Come here with confidence. Learn to say yes, but also be conscious with what you're saying yes to. For example, at an MBA program, there can be 100 things happening at the same time. So while it's very important to say yes to be able to expand your horizons, it's also very important to know what to say yes to. You don't want to spread yourself too thin. So come here with confidence and just live in the moment. It's going to pay off, and it's going to be a good journey.
Beautiful. Makes me want to study abroad now. And then just in wrapping, can you talk to us, Gonzalo, what are your future plans? I know we don't know what the future holds, but what are your intentions for the future once you have graduated?
Right. So my intentions for the future would be to stay here in London working. Uh, I'm still to decide whether it will be more from a consulting position or more of like in the execution of business itself. For now, I'm focused on my consulting internship that's upcoming during summer. So I'm very excited about that opportunity of going to BCG, and I'll see where that leads me.
Well, all the best for your future, Gonzalo. How about you, Manvi?
So I also look forward to spending a couple of years in London, at least before and if I move back to India. Very excited to start my summer in consulting in London. So that's going to be a great opportunity to test out whether working in London is suitable for me. And then after that, after the MBA, still kind of figuring out whether I want to continue in consulting or whether I want to go to startup scale ups. But overall, be working in London, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, we wish you both all the best for your future. I'm so excited to see how things pan out for you, and we'll be cheering on the sidelines. So thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your valuable insights and advice. I really enjoyed this conversation and found so much insight, and I'm sure that our listeners did as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was lovely speaking to you.
Great. And then for everybody that has joined, thank you so much for listening to the Prodigy Student Table. If you want to learn more about the Prodigy Finance community or even just about funding your global ambitions, you can visit the Prodigy Finance website. So www.prodigyfinance.com. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Take care wherever you are in the world.